Do we have any apologies? I don't think we do. And declarations of interest? No, no declarations of interest. Okay, we'll go straight on to item number 3, which is Scottish Fire and Rescue Service Report. And delighted to welcome Nick Nethercott. Apologies for keeping you waiting, Nick. And if you would like to go into your report. Thank you.
Okay.
Your mic on.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Okay. Well, good morning, councillors. Thank you very much for inviting me to attend. You should all have with you or been issued with the performance report for the period of 1st of October 23 to the 31st of March 2024. Within that period, we attended 125 incidents, of which 8 were classed as accidental dwelling fires, slightly above the 3-year average. However, most, all but one really, were classed as low severity, requiring little or no intervention from ourselves. However, the fire service continues to do home fire safety visits to combat these types of incidents, of which we performed 67 home fire safety visits within the Badenoch and Strathspey area in this period. We also attended 4 deliberate fires, 3 non-domestic building fires, and we attended 12 road traffic collisions within that period. The report states that there were 0 RTC-related fatalities, 9 related injuries, of which 6 went to hospital, 4 serious. Laterally, 1 became a fatality, but at the time of our reporting, it was not at the time. We also attended 35 unwanted fire alarm signals, so that's a reduction now as part of that UFAS policy, which was implemented in from 1st of July last year, which is positive from our point of view, as it helps us keep our appliances available for the more serious of incidents. With regards to the road traffic collisions, we have a group commander who is now sitting on the Highland Road Casualty Reduction Group and is working along with our partners on developing programmes and engaging with our users, such as youth development programmes, where we've engaged with Grantown and Kingussie high schools as well, and also worked on the Drive on the Left campaigns for our visitors to the area. A couple of, I'd like to say, good news stories on top of what's in the report. That the fire service, we led an Anthony Nolan Trust event at Kingussie High School, where we were able to add 42 users to the stem cell registers to help people around the world to sort of contribute to that for those that maybe need transplants. And another action we have done in this period is myself and a colleague from the community action team attended an event with all the rangers that are working in the Cairngorm National Park area, where we delivered and input on discussions on wildfire safety and community engagements. And we do have further joint patrols planned for early summer as well, to work with them to highlight, so promote safe outdoor behaviours within the area. Any questions on the report?
Thank you, Nick. Councillor Lowe.
Nick, it's basically about wildfires. How is it progressing as far as you're concerned?
For wildfires?
Yeah, just in general, I realise that also the National Park are consulting on a bylaw. So from your point of view, from the fire service, how is it progressing?
I mean, in our area this year, the numbers are low for wildfires. Touch wood, don't want to tempt fate, but we've not seen the activity that we have of recent years at the moment. That could be the weather, can be behaviours that's as a part of that. From our point of view of the Scottish Fire Rescue Service, we are in the process of sort of upgrading our wildfire response within as part of our Scottish Fire Rescue Service wildfire programme. So we are upgrading Aviemore and Kingussie to what we would call Tier 2 stations, and we've got further training planned. We've got a date planned for June to improve the training, which will get them more skilled in wildfires, just to combat that should we have to attend any incidents. And we're also looking to getting Newtonmore and Carbridge upgraded as well. We're also working on a programme to get a new vehicle in the Carbridge station, which will maybe make us a bit more dynamic at wildfire incidents, where we should be able to get further in, get crews further into sort of remote areas, rather than obviously heavy appliances that are 18 tonnes don't travel well on off-track roads. So myself, I think we're taking positive actions to work on the reductions, working with the Rangers, and we're making positive actions in terms of operational responses as well, should we have to.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Rowland. Councillor Corbett.
Thanks for the report and the detail it can contains. A couple of things I think the teams need to be sort of praised for the anti-mineral initiative. That's great, and it's a really good thing that we're out there working with the communities and young people. I'm interested in the youth development programme that you're doing, and is the frequency, is it once a year enough reach, or should it be a rolling programme to get the reach of the young people? That's my first question. The other question is looking at the staffing levels. Do you feel that we've got sustainability going forward for 24, 25 number-wise? And is there any mechanism to increase the number of women coming in from the engine force?
Okay, so we'll start with your first question, the youth development programme. That, what I mentioned there, was in relation to the RTCs. So what we try and do is use the period in schools after exams, before summer holidays, just to capture them once a year. And it's really to do with trying to get them at that right age group as they're sort of progressing, those sort of 5th and 6th years progressing into the driver years. So we do feel that once a year is enough from that point of view, because between that and obviously the lessons they've learned through their driving programme, but it's just trying to get them in before the summer to sort of highlight the seriousness and importance of it. So we do see that as we do feel that's an appropriate measure. Bearing in mind that a lot of the students do stay on for 5th year and 6th year, they actually will then end up getting that input twice from us. So it's kind of sort of drummed in a bit there for them. Recruitment wise, I think it's positive what's been going on at the moment. I think Grantown's been a regular conversation for us when we come here. This time last year, we were talking about we had 8 individuals within the team. The report there suggests we have 11, but actually that was up to the 31st of March. We're now at 13. So, you know, to increase that by 5 is an excellent success for us. So hopefully we'll see that within the numbers and the availability performance as they go through those courses. And once they become PA qualified, we'll do that. And we were lucky to have one transfer in that's fully qualified to the area. So that's a great immediate boost for us. So we have within Grantown, we have 2 more applicants within the process. So Avonmore's at full capacity. We're actually going to be recruiting it to above 1 to try and give us more flexibility within the area. Carbridge and Newtonmore, we have recently recruited 3 individuals for those 2 stations, for those community response ones, which is always hard because they're smaller communities to do that. Our challenge right now, if I'm looking ahead, Kingussie is the one that we're going to need a bit of, or we're looking to get some support for the community, so for some more applicants. We have been doing some recruitment sort of information out there, and I know that the crews themselves have been, they're trying to target bespoke, you know, identify people, which is usually the best way to do it, and try and get people in. And hopefully we're going to have something in the Strathspey Herald either this week or next with regards to that. Regarding sustainability, I think we are in a better position where we were at this time last year, and I think that we are seeing progress, but it's going to be continued. It's going to be ongoing. It's the nature of recruiting on-call people, is that as much as I can see these are positive numbers, I can also look at my retirement profile and I can see that some of that's going to counterbalance some of the good work that we're doing. But we're working on it. We're aware of it. It is part of my weekly duties, is looking at recruitment within the area. So you mentioned specifically targeting females within the service. I think the service we're very good at. We're not gender specific in what we're looking for in terms of who we recruit. The challenge is always the physical test that we can do to get people into the door. Some of them suit females better than it does males, so others suit males better. So, but what we can't do is bring down the physical requirements that we need for the job. My personal challenge within the area is that the dignified changing facilities that we have in the stations don't always support our attitudes and behaviours that we've progressed on within the service. So if you look at the buildings, I think how old they are, the Grantown station built, I think 70s, 80s, it's not designed. It was designed for men in the station, and getting capital funding, we're being quite open within the public domain that we need capital investment for the fire service to modernise our services and our stations to support that. So I think we've conquered that with the attitudes and behaviours of our recruitment, but it's the physical buildings that possibly could be off-putting. But I'm not aware of a specific case within the area where that has actually put someone off. I just feel it's a possibility. So, okay.
Thank you, councillors. Have you taken delivery yet of these new fire engines meant to be lighter and faster?
So that was the one that I referred to. So Carbridge, we're looking at getting that, and we're believing the first is going to come to the Highlands in July. I am hoping the first one to come to the Highlands is going to come to Carbridge. I keep pestering my line manager about that, but certainly the Carbridge crew are very keen to get it in as well. They see it as a better vehicle and more suited to their needs. It's going to be more modern for them. It's going to be safer for them. It's going to have more modern equipment on it for them as well. So all in all, it's going to be very positive. So I have heard that July is when we're looking hopefully to receive the first one, but procurements, that it's been procured, it's coming. It's sometimes that bits are just out with our hands, but we are.
What was the total? How many fire engines have we asked for
The Highlands?
For the Highlands.
It's one of those, don't quote me on it, but I think it's between 6 and 10. But what I was asked to do was deal with the Badenoch and Strathspey area. So where we've got our community response units, which are Newtonmore and Carbridge in there, and it's certainly Carbridge is one we're looking to get it in, and it should be very versatile and very good for it. We're looking at Newtonmore as well, and it's a possibility. Any volunteer station or community response station, which is different to our on-call stations without the main appliance, we're considering them all. Final decisions to be made. There are arguments to keep Newtonmore with what they've got right now, because of course their location to the A9 could maybe justify a different kind of vehicle. So it does depend on the nature of incidents that those stations are asked to respond to as to how we would decide and allocate them. So, but certainly Carbridge would be one that we're looking to get one, and that's keen for that to happen. So hopefully this summer.
Questions. You mentioned there was a tier 2 station. Could you just explain this? The difference between?
Yeah, so apologies. So we've basically got 3 tiers within, or we're establishing 3 tiers of qualification and skills that we can deliver at operational instance for wildfires. So generally right now, all our stations that we have in the area are classed as tier 1. And that basically means they can go out with the fire kit they've got with beaters and go out and kind of provide the people power to go and extinguish fires. We're then introducing new equipment into the service and new vehicles, like all-terrain vehicles into the service. So we will have a couple of stations, for example, I'm not limiting to only Ullapool and Invergordon have been established that they've got the resources where they're going to have an ATV, an all-terrain vehicle for going off-road and supporting anything. The tier 2 station is maybe they're just maybe more upgraded in terms of equipment and skills they've got, rather than different vehicles or towing other vehicles to it. But it's ultimately, when we look at wildfires that we've got experience, we think of Canach and we think of maybe last year, stations from everywhere came to these fires. So it's not a case of we're going to be disadvantaged. If there is a large fire within this area, stations from everywhere will come to support the response. And obviously the more protracted and prolonged they are, the more careful we are about how we get the right responses into these kind of incidents. So, but certainly, when we think of the Badenoch and Strathspey, we've not had a large scale fire that's actually required that in recent time. We've always managed to deal with what we've got here, but having these extra skills will benefit the area.
Okay, thanks. I just maybe like a similar theme. There's how people have access to the community asset register in terms of vehicles from the states and alternative vehicles, etc.
I think we've got good communication between the estates, and I think with us being involved within that, I've recently had work. I'm going to see the RSPB up at Forest Lodge in a couple of weeks' time. We've had communication from Forestry Land Scotland as well, and I think there's a good communication from experience as well. What we do tend to find is that if if fires become out of control within areas, a lot of the state workers, there's good communication as well throughout the area. So they all know each other, they know what they've got as well. And between us and the Community Asset Register, then we've got that kind of knowledge of what we can pull in for these fires. Generally speaking, if we go back to the Cannock and the Davia, it was helicopters that really did put the fire out, and that's for the landowners to finance for that kind of process. But estates working together and us working as part of that, I do think we're in a good position with that knowledge.
And the council as well, and the council are supposed to be tied into that as well, I think with vehicles, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it's great having the equipment and that come along, but we always need the people as well. However, what we've got to be very careful about is when people come to work at an incident that's ongoing, that takes management for us, because of course we are responsible for the health and safety of anybody and any workers within that, what we call our inner cordon, which is all well and good where your house fires or your car crashes, where that's a fixed location. But when wildfires travel, we can easily lose contact or communication with individuals. So we have to manage other people working within us as partners, which they do. But we have to take on that responsibility. So it takes great communication to do that, which in my experience has always worked very well. We just have to make sure that happens. So.
Okay, thank you. Just lastly, the recruitment, you said you're going to have a bit of a recruitment drive if you've got any social media adverts and if you wanted to share them, I'm sure that you'd be happy to share them.
Fantastic.
As well.
Yep, no, that would be appreciated. Yeah, so we're sort of working on locally, we're working on a wee social media thing just to try and create that awareness, particularly, let's say, Kingussie and Newtonmore could do with a boost as well. Sort of trying to come out with a wee initiative that can maybe how the two areas, Kingussie and Newtonmore, can work together, so that maybe perhaps those who are in Kingussie but don't want the full commitment of on-call, we would welcome their applications to Newtonmore as well, because they're quite close in terms of response times. So therefore people in Newtonmore who maybe want to do more than what the Newtonmore unit can do, they could also join the Kingussie instead. So maybe we have cars passing, but my priority is always try and get Kingussie bolstered, because that is the on-call one with the BA capabilities, and we need to kind of really bolster that. So looking to maybe stretching into Kingussie to recruit there as well. So.
Okay, sounds positive.
Yeah.
Let's know if we can.
Thank you very much. If there's no more questions, I do have one other part for you, unless there's any other questions. No, this is just for your information, that the Scottish Fire Rescue Service, you may or may not already be aware, but just in case you're not, we have initiated a strategic service review programme, which is to look at how we are delivering services to become the modern fire service that Scotland needs, obviously with changing times, populations, challenges, emerging risks. So we are looking for contributions from communities as to help us best identify how we get that right. And we have launched an online survey. It's called Shaping Our Future Service, Your Say, and it can be found just on the homepage of Scottish Fire Rescue Service. But I can send you a link and get that to you all. But we'd very much welcome that. And my plan is that when I do meet with the community partnership planning groups, that I'll be getting a point to kind of raise that to make sure we can get the views of all users within the area as well, because it's important. There's never been a better time for the communities to have contribution to the Scottish Fire Rescue Service in our future plans. And so I'm keen to get that message out. So I can do that.
Yeah, we do that through back, but we so you know, address the decision.
I shall do that and share that for you all.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Thanks, then. I'm sure the people very much. Thank you very much.
It's nice to see you all. Thank you very much.
Well, just
We've got lots of things to do.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So the start of the Teams, not to which is on Teams.
report.
Okay, members, could we note the fire and rescue report, please?
Yes.
Moved. Thank you. Moving on to item 4. And Sarah, I'm going to ask, is it Sarah or Sarah before I get your name wrong?
It's Sarah.
I can't hear you, sorry, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me now?
Or are you on mute?
No, I'm not on mute.
Speaking on mute.
I thought Mark had his speakers on, so with 2 speakers
okay?
on.
I'll get used to this for the
Sorry, that was my fault. The speaker's down there, sorry. I apologise. I'll start again. Welcome, but before I welcome you formally, I'm going to ask, is it Sarah or Sarah? Because I don't want to get it wrong.
It's Sarah.
Sarah, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Item 4 is Grantown and Spey Common Good Fund consultation on proposal to change the use of Market Square to allow for mandatory charging for events, pitches and stalls. This report is going to be presented by Sarah Murdoch. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, members. Good morning. You have before you the report on the outcome of the consultation that we ran in respect of the proposal to change a use of the square in Grantown to allow for mandatory charging. In addition, that report covers an assessment and a review of what's been ongoing while that consultation has been running, which is that an invitation to pay pilot scheme has also operated to get the type of information that would assist yourselves members in making a decision as to the type of use that has taken place, as well as the income generation opportunities. The report that's before you, members, I'm hoping that you've had the opportunity to read it together with the 2 appendices. Appendix 1 details an analysis of the consultation, and Appendix 2 details all the representations that we received verbatim, together with the responses that we're proposing to make to those representations. And that document is due to be uploaded onto the council website once the decision making has taken place. I draw your attention, members, to the contents of paragraph 4 in the report and the full contents of Appendix 1. That details the assessment of the consultation and the outcome. It breaks down the representations and responses that were received in number and also in percentage format, so that we can see that in respect of the proposal to charge on a mandatory basis, we're sitting at 75, just under 75% of representations, people who responded within the consultation oppose for a variety of reasons. And the themes that are running through those representations are summarised in the appendix and at paragraph 4.6. So you can see the type of reasons why people have been concerned about moving towards mandatory charging. Paragraph 5 in the report reviews the pilot invitation to pay scheme. I must confess I wasn't aware of how much business or use of the square there would be across the course of the year, but this has been managed at ward level by the office there and the community development manager there. And from my understanding, as contained in 5.3, there have been a total of 7 bookings, of which 6 have made a donation. Based along the lines of the invitation to pay proposal. In addition,
Sarah, sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Sarah. Could I just stop you there a second? You dropped out there for about 30 seconds. Could you?
Sorry.
Just go back about 30 seconds if possible.
It's like rewind.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you didn't realise where you were.
I'll do my best. Potentially, I think I would probably be at the review of the invitation to pay scheme. That's contained in paragraph 5. That's been operated alongside the consultation. It has been operated at ward level by the community development manager, and paragraph 5 contains a review as to how that scheme has gone. And in the course of that scheme, there have been 7 bookings for use of the square, of which 6 have offered and paid a donation in accordance with the proposed charging schedule. 1 group declined to pay, And moving forward, there has been an agreement with the local farmers market to host a market on a regular basis on the square to make a donation of £50 per market, which is a first for the farmers market to make that payment. It's perhaps not as much use of the square over the course of a 12-month period as we thought there might have been, but I suppose it does raise the potential for possible development of use of the square, depending, members, on what you consider the next steps should be. The options for next steps are contained in paragraph 6. Your options are either to agree the proposal to change the use of the square to allow for mandatory charging, to amend the proposal, or to decide that the proposal should not go ahead. Running alongside that, if for instance, members, you decided that the proposal should not go ahead, you could, of course, make the decision that the invitation to pay continues. That would not represent a change of use. People could still opt to use the space for nothing if they so wished. So we're not removing that option from them, so we're not changing the use. If you decide that you wish the proposal to go ahead and to implement mandatory charging, you must have regard to the representations that have been received, and clearly 75% of those representations oppose the proposal. And whilst that doesn't bind you to follow those representations, you have to be sure, if you're going to make the decision to proceed with the proposal, that in making that decision, you've had regard to the representations received and have decided that any such decision would be in the interests of Grantown. So that's really where we're at as far as the report and highlighting parts of the report are concerned, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Councillor Lowe.
I have to say I'm surprised by the recommendations. To say I'm surprised by the recommendations is a mild understatement. It fails to realise the potential benefit that a functioning common good fund would have for the people of Grantown and Spey. 17 out of 23 people have objected to this proposal, including one from Nethy Bridge. The last time I looked, Grantown and Spey has approximately 2,500 residents. I wonder what the other 2,477 people think. It also brings into question how we carry out consultations if we get only 23 responses out of 2,500 people. This recommendation is basically based on the opinions of 16 Grantown residents, or approximately half of 1% of the population. When stallholders attend the Grantown show or the games, they pay handsomely for the privilege. And yet, according to some of the responses, a small charge for using the square will make them abandon Grantown forever. Others have claimed that we should not consider commercialisation of the square. It's already commercialised. Do you think stallholders who attend the farmers market are charities in the main? Clearly, most are commercial businesses looking to make profit. The neighbouring town of Aviemore, which is slightly larger and has a larger number of tourists, their village green, which is an area of less than 10% of the size of the square, they made £5,000 last year. Some of the comments in the press that this will be used to fill a hole in the council's budget, to be honest, are too ludicrous even to consider. The square belongs to the people of Grantown, all of the people of Grantown, not just a very vociferous minority. The money raised will be the same. It will never be the council's money. It quite rarely will belong to the people. These charges will slowly but surely accumulate into a common good fund that will be used for the benefit of the people of Grantown and Spey. And following the rest of the debate, Chairman, I will have a motion, and I will look for a second.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lowe. Councillor Coburn.
Apologies for the delay in getting my mic on. Thank you, Sarah, for the report, and I agree with my colleague, Councillor Loban. I think 22 local people from the survey, one was from another village, is a very small sample, and I'm not sure that is representative of the community. What we are trying to do is ensure that we maximise any income generation for the community, for them to do with whatever they desire. One thing I have got concerns about is the local charities and the setting of fees for that. I would hope that would come back to us as members to decide on that.
Sarah, I think that was, sorry, I beg your pardon, I think that was a question for you, Sarah.
Yes.
Right,
Would that come back to local members to set the fees for charities?
I see no reason why it couldn't. I mean, that's
speakers that would put them off.
no.
Sorry, Sarah, my speaker's off. Could you come back again? Sorry.
I see no reason why it couldn't. I mean, Mark's present, and I'm sure that's something, as it's operated through the ward scheme and the ward office, I see no reason why that shouldn't come back to members, and any request for a charity use of the square shouldn't be decided, you know, by the community development team in consultation with members. I mean, normally, I think members would be made aware of the use of the land, would they not, with the square?
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bruce, would you like to say?
Yes, I think in addition to charity use, we should also make it educational use, because I think the schools are being penalised.
John, I think I actually said in the report.
John, in the paper.
Sorry, okay. Right, nothing else to add.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just nothing I would add to my colleagues' comments is I think some of the reporting is slightly disappointing in the last week or so, and I mean, the money's certainly not going to Highland Council. The money is the community in Grantown, and it's to accrue money. It's accrue some sort of fund for the people of Grantown, and common good funds can be used for in other places for Christmas lights, for old folks' Christmas dinners, for the public access, TFIB maintenance, etc. So they can be used for any funds accrued can be used for lots of community benefit. So yeah, I think I would agree with colleagues' comments. Councillor Loveland, I'll come back to you.
The motion is. So it's all right, Sarah. We're having grave technical difficulties here today, and we're trying to work our way around them. The motion is that the council agrees to proceed with the process to introduce mandatory charging for the use of the square in Grantown and Spey. And it ends there.
I'll second that.
Okay, so a motion from Councillor Loveland and seconded by Councillor Coburn. Councillor Bruce, are you content?
No, I think this should be something that the local people deal with. I don't think the council should have a hand in it.
Councillor Loveland.
I'm sorry, the trustees of the Common Good Fund are sitting around this table. The trustees of the Common Good Fund are not anyone outside this room.
Right.
Councillor Bruce, I'm sorry, we can't hear you on Teams. Can you put your mic on, please?
I think it should be said that the trustees, I mean, are acting in the best interest of the people of Grantown. I mean, we want to accrue a fund for the people of Grantown.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I think that's
just to reiterate, John, that the schools are, as in the report, and it'll come back to members about the charities, which we all, I think, are in agreement and feel quite strongly that the local charities are hugely important for us.
agreed. So I think we're agreed on the motion. Sarah, would you like to add anything?
Nope, that's everything from me. And the decision will, can you not hear me?
It's not me, it's my speakers. Hang on.
It's just the timing, getting it done.
I think we're good to go now, Sarah. Sarah, would you like to add
Bit of
anything? Have you
satellite
heard all
delay
that?
between Inverness and Grantown. No, that's everything. So long as I know what the amendment is and that it's all, the motion's been approved, it goes up in a decision on the website. It'll be uploaded as a decision to the council website, as will the documents for the representations and responses.
Okay, and that will come back to.
Blame IT, Sarah.
So in respect of the recommendations, in addition to no, yes, in addition.
Yes, go.
In addition to obviously the motion from Councillor Lobban, but in addition to that, it's just to approve the responses to the representations in Appendix 2 to be published on the council website.
Agreed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
Sarah, thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Apologies, members. I'm not sure when speakers are supposed to be on, when they're supposed to be off, and the mic's supposed to be on.
It's all right, March day can only get better.
No. Okay, item 5 is the first of our education reports, and it's Kingussie High Associated School Group Overview. And do we have anyone to report? Speak to the report.
I'm looking at it, and there's nobody there.
Okay, Councillor Coburn.
I think we've got two reports, and I think so. Sorry, I'll put my mic off.
I'll put my.
Okay, I think it's the reports are good, but it's helpful to have somebody here to take questions from our education team. But I would ask us to consider that our next area committee, we can get somebody from the education team to field any questions we've got, if that's agreeable.
Councillor Lobban.
I would support that. I think that these reports are so important that we need to ask questions, and we need to get into the detail of. You know, if you just look at them, there are so many of the figures that I'd really like to question. About school roles, about attainment. You know, we've if you look at it, we've got schools here which are 50% attainment, and it's right across the primary schools, and in both of these reports. And it's good to see that Kingussie High School is above its virtual comparator, but it's not the same in Grantown. Seriously, there are just so many questions I would like to ask. And whilst one particular member of staff may not be able to attend, education is a big department. Education should provide someone who can speak to these papers. I think they're so important.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree. I mean, I think we all understand how busy the education manager has been, but as a big department, and somebody could have been here today, you would think, to speak to it, and they are really, really important reports, and I would agree with everything you've said.
Could we do what Muriel said and have these reports repeated again at the next area committee?
No, I would definitely agree with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, could we look to do that, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. Certainly, the understanding I had from Rachel was that somebody was going to come along today, but for reasons I'm not called off short notice.
Well, I think
it's only the 5 of us, and Mr. Roger. I'm not seeing anybody.
Members, I
Kirsty
was
Roger for corporate comms, and the 5 of us. That's the only people on the meeting.
only
Rachel's about to
informed
speak, I think.
last thing on
Hold on, Rachel. Russell's got you on mute again.
I've not touched a thing.
Sorry. I was only
Oh, yeah.
informed
Sorry, Rachel.
late on Friday.
Rachel, I'm
that-
sorry, I had my speakers off. Rachel, sorry, could you start again? I apologise.
I was only informed late on Friday that no one would be able to attend. I had what had been previously agreed was, although the author of the report, the education manager, would be unable to attend, or possibly unable to attend, that someone would be arranged to attend in her place. And we only found out at the last minute that this wasn't possible. So certainly I can, we can speak to education and put this item back on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't think that would be a problem.
I think you've frozen, right?
Oh, can you hear me?
I think you're back now. Yeah,
Oh.
you're back now.
Sorry, I don't know how much you missed, but I can definitely arrange for this item to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I think it's fair to say that, just echo what Councillor Love and Councillor Coburn said. They're hugely important reports, and we definitely like to have them back at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, members. Moving on to item 7, community regeneration.
Russell, items 5 and 6 were asked to scrutinise the report, and I think we did.
Well, we can't do that. We deferred it, can't we? So what can we do? Yeah. Rachel, is that okay for the minutes? The fact that there was no officer here, so
Yes. So
we would like to bring them back.
we can defer it to the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Item 7, Community Regeneration Fund assessment of applications. Is Fiona and Alison here for this one? Have we?
Alison's there.
Oh, Alison is there. Beg your pardon, Alison. Sorry.
I think I must have jumped in just at the right time, because I was half expecting it still to be ongoing. So that was quite good timing. So yes, thank you for your time today to discuss this one application which we have for the community regeneration funding for the new pedestrian link at Glenmore. You'll remember that back in February 2024, you agreed to ring fence funds for this project, subject to them coming back, the council coming back in with a full application for funding, and that's what we're bringing forward to you today, is the full application. So you should have received the application form and the RAG summary for this project, which is the sort of outcome of what we do with the applications when they come into the community regeneration team. The RAG summary is based on the information that we have from the applicant at the present time, so there will be some gaps in that information at the moment, which usually go out as technical conditions if an offer is made. So in summary, I'm really here to ask you to consider this one application with a total grant request of £80,000, and you're asked to approve, defer or reject the application at this time, and in the case of any approval, if there's any conditions that you'd like to attach with this application, and to confirm the grant amount that you're willing to approve if you want to go down that way. But Chair, I'll pass over to you if there's any questions with this application.
Okay, thanks, Alison. Any questions, members? Or are we?
I just support the application.
Want to finish?
So I think that's unanimous, and we're all in support of the application, Alison.
That's great. So just double check if there's no other conditions that you want to attach with it, just the usual standard ones that we would do. Some of the information is obviously subject to them having quotes for the work, which will come in due course once the they're a bit further on with the project. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I think we're all content, and I think we're very supportive of it, Alison. So thank you very much for your work with us, and thank you for coming along today.
Great. Okay, that's short but sweet. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Alison.
Bye.
Item 8 is a housing performance report, and is it Lee that's here for this one? Hi, good morning, Lee. We're having a few technical difficulties, so please bear with us, but if you can hear us, can you hear me just now, Lee?
Good morning, and thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, that's great, Lee. If you would like to speak to the report, Lee, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and good morning, members. I'm pleased to be here today to present the Badenoch and Strathspey Area Housing Performance Report. In attendance with me today via Teams is Angus Laurie, our Principal Repairs Officer, and between us we'll aim to answer any questions you may have in relation to this report. I'm not going to read the report word for word, however, I will draw your attention to the key performance figures. And I'll just begin by highlighting the repairs figures at section 5. So section 5 and 5.3, table 1, the average length of time taken to complete emergency repairs. This is in hours. Our target is 12 hours, and we report 10.9 hours in quarter 4. So the average time reported for emergency repairs is 10.9 hours, which is within the 12-hour target. Table 2 is the average length of time taken to complete non-emergency repairs, and this is in days. So the target's 8.9 days, and I could report 7.4 in quarter 4, which is within our target and better than the Highland average. I'll go to section 6 in tenancy management, and that's the average re-let time. Our target is 35 days, and I can confirm we're well within that target of 15.82 days. So that's a good performance there, and well within our obviously 35-day target. Rent arrears, so obviously have increased across Badenoch in this quarter 4, and the increase reflects the current economical situation and subsequent financial difficulty for some tenants. We continue to take an early intervention approach, because this is key for us. Obviously, early intervention is key, and arranging obviously like payment plans, etc., for the tenants. And maintaining contact is key. So early intervention, we continue to do that. We're already looking, I'm looking at the figures now, and there is a slight decrease since this report. So that's great as well. And then homelessness, section 8, there were 386 presentations across Highland at the end of quarter 4. And out of that presentations, 19 presentations were in Badenoch and Strathspey. Again, we continue to exert our homeless duty, working with our homeless applicants as best as providing permanent outcomes. Okay, thank you. That's just a brief overview of that. I'm happy to take any questions alongside Angus.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Councillor Loeb.
Basically, first question is about the emergency repairs. Obviously, there's a very substantial difference between our time to carry out emergency repairs and the average throughout Highlands. And yet the non-urgent repairs are the opposite, you know, where we do non-urgent repairs an awful lot quicker than anywhere else. So that's, I suppose, the first series of questions. I've got a couple more. I'm juggling here with a computer. We have, obviously, rent arrears are on a substantial increase. Is there any steps being taken to assist our tenants to get back to basically paying the rent on time. And I think a compliment in the fact that when we do have voids, our relet times are phenomenal amount better than the rest of Highland. So that's basically the points I want to raise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Logan. I'll maybe pass you on to Angus. Angus, are you wanting to answer the repair side, and then I can go into the other questions?
Yeah, I'll come in on that. In terms of the emergency repairs, obviously Badenoch and Strathspey doesn't have an in-house team, which I think affects it negatively in that respect, because we don't necessarily have the depth of subcontractors that we would like, or availability of subcontractors. And then of course we've got the geography, which doesn't compares it. It's comparable to some other areas in Highland, but obviously not to, you know, a central Inverness area or somewhere like that. So all those things affect the emergency response times. And also there is an element of when is an emergency not an emergency. We'll get situations where a contractor will get an emergency repair, call up the tenant, and you know, it may be a block sink or something like that, and say to them, "Is it okay if we come tomorrow?" And they say, "Yeah, that's fine," which affects our emergency times. It's good communication. However, really, from an admin point of view, that should be dealt with differently. So there's several elements to that. In terms of our non-emergency repairs, so in Badenoch and Strathspey, because there is no in-house team, it doesn't suffer, and nearness similar to this, it doesn't suffer in the same way as the areas with in-house teams, because we have been trying to cut down the cost of our subcontractors. Therefore, in what we call contract areas with an in-house team, the non-essential repairs will be shelved and left until there is time for an in-house team to take care of them. However, in Badenoch and Strathspey, that is not an option. Therefore, they've benefited from that, whereas other areas have suffered a little.
Yeah, and then just touching base on obviously rent arrears, it is just to confirm, we are taking a serious and proactive approach. Yeah, there is an increase based on the statistics there, but overall, I think we're still performing pretty well. We don't have any concerns at this stage. We're signposting and taking a proactive approach in terms of signposting to welfare support, or referrals to welfare support, our intensive support officer. They can go through basically an income and expenditure check to ensure that there's, well, firstly, the affordability. They can afford to obviously pay the rent, because obviously it's a primary thing to do, but also they can explore maybe other options of benefits that may be available to the tenants that they're actually unaware of. So then that can open more disposable income for them, allowed to then contribute towards their rent arrears. Yeah, I think the key for us is early intervention, and we're just going to keep pushing that, engaging, getting across the threshold. Yes, we have an escalation path, and we can then go all the way to obviously seek eviction. I mean, that's a last resort. We don't kind of promote that in any shape or form, because we want people to have obviously properties and pay for the rent towards that property. So we'll continue to take a proactive approach, and yeah, early intervention is key for us.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Thanks, Angus. Councillor Coburn.
Thanks, Lee, for the report. Oh,
Go on.
sorry, we've got IT problems. Okay, sorry about that. And thanks, Angus, for your report as well. It's really useful, and thanks for the explanation. The homeless presentations, homeless is always a concern. Have we got a trend with age demographic in that, or is it just varied societal reasons? And the other thing I was going to ask, do we have a feel for antisocial behaviour? Is that, you know, have we got a steady playing field with that, you know, and hopefully we don't have too many problems, but do we monitor that, and, you know, any increases or trends in that? Thank
you. Thank you, Councillor Goldberg. In terms of the makeup of that presentations and the age demographic, I haven't got the exact figures to hand, but I can certainly get them to you. That's not a problem at all. And going on to antisocial behaviour, yes, antisocial behaviour we take extremely seriously. There is, I think the key for us is proactive kind of relationships with the other agencies, such as like Police Scotland, etc. I think that's important to have good relationships with them and take action as per our policy and procedures and the escalation path of antisocial behaviour. Again, similar to the rent arrears, it's engaging in the first instance with any incidents of antisocial behaviour that is brought to our attention, and just to show that we do take it serious as well, and that we will follow our escalation path should we need to in terms of that. The difficult one with that sometimes is obviously can be as evidence for antisocial behaviour, because obviously the more evidence we've got, the easier it is to go through that kind of escalation path. So we look at the whole picture, and yeah, we take action accordingly in that. But yeah, no, I'm happy to provide any more information offline in relation to that, and I'll certainly get the demographics of, going back to the presentations, I'll get that to you as well, the age demographics.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Councillor Bushnell, okay. Then I had a couple of questions, Lee, actually. One for Angus. You said that, I think you were saying that there was a shortage of subcontractors in Badenoch and Strathspey. I wondered if that was anything to do with the framework agreement, or people are not on the framework agreement. And a couple of questions for Lee. For people in emergency accommodation, are the rents the same for people in emergency accommodation as they would be for a normal council tenant? Or do they pay any more or less? How does that work? And also, obviously very difficult in these constrained financial times, but in some of our older properties, it's a bit of a catch-22 because they're not insulated so well, and some of the heating systems are outdated and quite expensive to use, and so tenants tend not to use the heating and then they get damp. Is there any programme in place or in sight, or any funding going to be available to upgrade some of the heating or insulation in some of our older properties going forward? Thank you.
Come in first there, Lee. So your first question about the contractors and the framework. I think generally speaking, there is and this is not just Badenoch and Strathspey, there is a shortage. I think if the MD is going to get any work done themselves, they'll find that all contractors tend to be busy anyway. However, I think having a framework in place is an added layer of admin where it can put some contractors off, unfortunately. That's the bottom line. There's no getting away from that. I'm not saying it's not necessary to get the right contractors. However, yeah, there is potential that it will put some contractor off, but I don't think it's the only reason. I think generally speaking, there's a shortage as well. And maybe before Lee comes on, I'll just go to what you were saying about the some older properties, insulation and heating issues. Yeah, there is programs in place, and it's through the capital and investment team. You may have met Jonathan Henderson previously, who was our capital investment officer. I think he maybe came to Badenoch committee before. Graham Ralph is our investment officer now. He's been in post about 5 or 6 weeks, and yeah, there is a investment contract in place replacing heating systems. It's ongoing. There will be heating systems replaced in Badenoch this year and the following years. Graham may well come to committee with a bit more detail on that, because it's through the investment team, so I don't have detail, but yeah, there is a replacement contract in place, and it's rolling. It keeps going. I believe members agreed previously something in the region of 60 or 70% of capital investment was to be spent on energy efficiency improvements, and we're still within that period of what that was approved.
Yeah, and just coming in terms of emergency accommodation rents and costs, etc. Yes, there is a difference. They are or can be higher than mainstream accommodation, and there's various factors on that, such as obviously the bulk of our temporary furnished accommodation, and I say temporary furnished is because it is furnished, so there's obviously a charge for maintaining that furniture, providing that furniture, etc. We do try and work with tenants with if there's if we've got working applicants who are in temporary furnished accommodation, on basically on sign up, if they have their own furniture, we can work with them in that and not provide, depending on the makeup of the property at the time. We can engage with them. If they've got their own furniture, they can take their own furniture in, and then that would reduce the cost slightly as well. I believe the costs are under review. I don't have a date to hand of when that will be, but we're constantly reviewing that, because there is additional costs applied for homeless applicants who are using our temporary furnished accommodation. Some depending, again, also there could be communal areas that require grass cutting and that as well. So, sometimes there's fees applied to that as well, depending on the makeup of the temporary furnished accommodation. So it can increase. What I will say, if there is tenants and that are eligible for benefits and that, then usually that is covered within that as well. So yeah, that's where we're at in terms of that. Hope that helps.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Thank you, Angus. Thanks for the answers and the report. Members, is there anything else you would like to ask? Are we happy to note the report?
Thank you.
Angus, Lee, thank you very much for your time. Apologies for our IT, but we hope we got there in the end. Thank you very much.
Thanks all.
Cheers, thank you all.
Bye.
Cheers, goodbye. Bye.
Moving on, item 9, the board discussion of the budget. Mark, do you want to run us through this quickly, please, if you won't mind?
It's fine. I'm not good either.
Got what's on there. I think we're invited to note the following word discretionary fund applications and approved since the previous committee.
It's not on my agenda.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can read them out if it's not on that one. Okay, sorry, if you haven't got them, Mark, I'll read them out. So the committee is invited to note the following word discretionary fund applications have been approved since the previous committee. Cairngorm Mountain Trust, Badenoch and Strathspey School Skiing, 2,568. Newtonmore Tennis Club, tennis table costs, £126. Grantown Grammar School, winter jackets and waterproof shoes, £2,000. Newtonmore Business Association, community defibrillator, £1,000. Badenoch Shinty Memories, supporting social activities, £850. Spey, the Gaelic names and legends of our mountain landscapes, £900. Badenoch and Strathspey Food Hub, supporting food poverty in Badenoch and Strathspey, £971.92. So we're happy to note, please.
Yes. And based on the fact that probably I should have declared maybe not a declaration of interest, but a transparency statement, because
One of them involves Cairnburn Mountain, and I'm a director of Cairnburn Mountain. But I think they're just for noting, so I don't think it makes any difference.
It's just for noting, but I think that'll be, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
happy
as
to
it's
note
just
that.
for noting, you wouldn't have had to declare, but I can note a transparency statement, Councillor Lobbin, if you wish.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And on to item 10. The minutes, there's a circulated note for noting minutes of meeting of Badenoch and Strathspey Area Committee held on the 12th of February 2024, which were approved by the Council on 14th March 2024. There might have been a typo in one of the original drafts, but that's been corrected here. Great. So we're happy to note that.
Agreed.
And I think that brings us to the end of our business for today. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Rich.